So in this video, we are going to learn how to automatically generate text to speech. So in this automation guys, whenever we are going to add a new row of text in our Google Sheet, using Growthens API, automatically we are going to convert that text into speech. So using Growthens API, we will be sending that same text which we have added into a Google Sheet to 11 Labs AI. And using 11 Labs, we will be converting that text into speech. And after that, after getting the speech of that text, we are going to add the MP3 URL of that same speech back into a Google Sheet over there as well. So if you want to know how you can automate this process of text to speech conversion, for this, you just have to come with me to my screen.
So as you can see, here we are on Pabbly Connect's dashboard. Now to reach this dashboard, you will get a free sign-up link of Pabbly Connect in the description box below. By clicking on that link, you can create your free Pabbly Connect account in just 2 minutes. And after reaching to this dashboard, just click on Create Workflow and give this workflow a name. For example, I would like to name my workflow as Text-to-Speech Automation. And then just click on Create. Now you can see that our workflow is open over here. And in this workflow, we have 2 different windows. First one is the trigger window and second one is the action window. So triggers and actions are basically those 2 concepts, those 2 principles on which this whole automation works on. Where the trigger says when this happens and the action says do this. So let's begin with our trigger window. Now the idea here is, here in my Google Sheet, I'm adding some text. And I want that using these texts, a speech audio should be created automatically with the automation which we are going to create in this video. And then the link of that speech audio URL, the speech audio file, the link of that file should be added into the same row in the next column over here. So in this video, we are going to set up an automation with this goal, that whenever we are going to add some text in this Google Sheet, automatically we can convert that text into speech and we will get the audio URL of that speech over here in the Google Sheet itself. And for that, to begin with this automation, we have to connect this Google Sheet with Pabbly Connect in the trigger window. So that every time we add a new row with text in Google Sheet, automatically this same text should be received inside Pabbly Connect and this automation workflow should trigger, it will start. Now to make this happen, here in our trigger window in Choose Apps, search for Google Sheets. Just select it. And then in Trigger Event from this drop-down, select the trigger event as New or Updated Spreadsheet Row. After selecting our trigger event, Pabbly Connect gave us a webhook URL. And using this webhook URL, we are going to connect our Google Sheet with Pabbly Connect and get the text from Google Sheet in our Pabbly Connect workflow. So to add this webhook URL in Google Sheet and to connect it, we just have to follow the help text, these instructions given below over here. Just copy this webhook URL from here and go to the Google Sheet in which we are adding some text. Now here, after reaching to the Google Sheet, go to Extensions, Add-ons and click on Get Add-ons. After clicking on Get Add-ons, here we have reached to Google Workspace Marketplace. And here in Search app, we have to search for Pabbly Connect Webhooks. Pabbly, Pabbly Connect Webhooks. And here you can see that Pabbly Connect Webhooks, this add-on is already installed in my Google Sheets. You just have to install this same add-on into your own Google Sheets account, and after installing it, just refresh your Google Sheet once. This is a very important step. Now after refreshing our Google Sheet, once again go to Extensions, and this time you can see Pabbly Connect Webhooks. This option will be visible in front of us. Just hover on it and then click on Initial Setup in front of it. After clicking on Initial Setup, this box appears in front of us and it is basically asking us 3 things. First one is the selected sheet, second one is the webhook URL and third one is the trigger column. Now here guys, in selected sheet, it has by default selected sheet as sheet 1 because in my Google Sheet, I have created only one sheet as sheet 1. Just in case, if you have created multiple sheets in your Google spreadsheet, here you just have to select the sheet that the text from which particular sheet we want to send to Pabbly Connect. After selecting the sheet, the next thing it asks us is the webhook URL. And here in webhook URL, we have to paste the exact same webhook URL which we have copied from Pabbly Connect. Just copy it from here and then paste it over here. After pasting the webhook URL, the next thing it asks us is the trigger column. Now here you must be thinking, what is this trigger column? So trigger column is basically the last data entry column of our Google Sheet in which we are going to enter some data. So here in the background you can see that in this particular sheet, column B is going to be my trigger column because it is the last column in which I am going to enter some data, enter some text over here. So I will be selecting column B as trigger column. Here we have another column as column C. But in this particular column, we are going to update the speech audio URL of this same text. So using this automation, we are going to fill the value in this column. So that is why column B is the trigger column where we are going to enter some data. So this is our trigger column. After entering our trigger column, when we click on this send test button, we will see the details of the first row after the headers. Like in row 1, we have added these headers, and in row 2, this is the first row of our data. The data from the row 2 is been sent to Pabbly Connect, and here it is showing us test data sent successfully. So we'll get back to Pabbly Connect, and here in our Pabbly Connect workflow, we will see in this trigger window, we have received some response. And in this response, you will see the exact same data which we have added over here in the Google Sheet. Here you can see the same date which we have entered, 23rd of May 2023. And then here you can see the same text as well, the text which we have entered over here in this Google Sheet. So this means the connection of Google Sheet and Pabbly Connect is working perfectly fine. Now just click on this submit button. After clicking on submit, here it will show us setup configured successfully. This means we have successfully added this webhook URL in our Google Sheet. Now just close this window. Once again go to extensions, Pabbly Connect webhooks, and this time we have to select this send on event option. By selecting send on event, we are telling this Google Sheet, we are telling this add-on that whenever data in a new row is added till our trigger column, immediately, instantly send that data to Pabbly Connect. So whenever we are going to add some text in our Google Sheet in a new row, instantly this automation workflow will trigger. This data will be sent to Pabbly Connect and the automation workflow will trigger, it will start. So the step 1 of setting up this automation is completed. We have received the text from Google Sheet in Pabbly Connect. Now after this, let's move to step 2. And in step 2, we want to generate some speech from this text. For that, we will just scroll down, come to our action window, and here in choose app, we are going to search for Growthens API. So in this video, we are going to use Growthens API to generate some text to speech. So we are going to search for Growthens API. Just select it. After selecting Growthens APIs, an action event from this drop-down, here you can see a list of different action events over here. Out of all of this, there is an action event named as 11 Labs API make TTS request, make text to speech request. So using this action step of make TTS request, we will be sending this text to 11 Labs and requesting it to convert this text into speech. So select this action event over here. Then just click on connect and select add new connection. Now here guys, we have to connect our Growthens API account with Pabbly Connect. And to make this connection, we have to create a Growthens APIs account and we have to enter the API token of our Growthens APIs account. Now here guys, you must be thinking how you can create this account and get the API token of your Growthens APIs account. So here you just have to follow the help text, the instructions given below over here. Now here you will find a step-by-step guide that how you can create your Growthens APIs account and how you can get the API token and enter it over here to make the connection. Now here in this help text, you can see this hyperlink. Just open it and it will take you to a page on Growthens APIs. Now here at this page, you just have to enter your name and email address over here. And after entering these details, just click on this Get Your Free API button. Then within few minutes, you will get an email from Growthens API on your entered email address. And in that particular email, you will get the API token of your Growthens API. You just have to copy the API token from that email, get back to Pabbly Connect and paste it over here. And after pasting this API token, just click on save. And when we click on save, we will see our Growthens APIs account will get connected with Pabbly Connect. After making this connection, the next thing it asks us is 11 Labs API key. So as we discussed, we will be sending this text using Growthens API to 11 Labs. and using 11 labs, we are going to convert this text into speech. So here Pabbly Connect is asking us for the 11 labs API key, the API key of our 11 labs account. So you just have to go to your 11 labs account and on this right top corner, just go to profile and click on this profile option. After clicking on profile option, here you can see the API key of your 11 labs account. Just copy this API key from here, go to Pabbly Connect and paste it over here. After pasting the API key of your 11 labs account, here the next thing it asks us is the voice ID. And the help text says, please provide the voice ID here. Use the 11 labs API fetch voice IDs action to get a list of voice IDs, including your cloned voice. So here guys, in 11 labs, we have an option to generate the speech in different voices. So here it is asking us the voice ID that using which particular voice we want to generate this speech for the text which we are giving to it. So here guys, we have to enter the voice ID. And if you want to get a list of or the voice ID of the voices which you have in your 11 labs account, you can use this action of Growthens API, that is 11 labs API fetch voice ID. So let's use this action step before this step. So we will just scroll up and click on this add action step button before this make TTS request action step. So we have just now added the action step. Once again in choose app, we will search for Growthens API. Just select it. And then in action event from this drop down, we are going to select this action event as 11 labs API fetch voice IDs. Just select this action step. Click on connect and select add new connection. Now here guys, we have to connect our Growthens API account once again. But because we have already connected our Growthens API account with Pabbly Connect, you can select the existing connection and click on save. After clicking on save, the only thing it asks us is 11 labs API key. So here we have to enter the API key of our 11 labs account. So we have just now copied the API key. Once again, we'll paste this API key over here and click on save and send test request. Now when we click on save and send test request, here you can see that we have received some response. And in this response, you will see a list of all the voices which we have in our 11 labs account. So here you can see that in this response, we have received a voice ID and the name of this voice is Rachel. So in my 11 labs account, here you can see that there is a voice named as Rachel, and in response, here you can see the voice ID of this particular voice. So if we want to create a speech using this Rachel's voice, then here you can use this voice ID. And the category of this voice is pre-made. So this is a pre-made voice of 11 labs. Then we will scroll down further. Here you can see another name as Domi. So here you can see that in my 11 labs account, I have another voice named as Domi. And then this is the voice ID of this particular voice. So in this way, in this response, you can see that a list of all the voices and their voice ID is received inside Pabbly Connect. You can select any voice of your choice and you have to enter the voice ID of that particular voice over here in this action step of make TTS request. So while making a text-to-speech request to 11 labs, we have to enter the API key, the voice ID and the text. Now here guys, if you have collected all the voice IDs, you can basically add the voice ID in your Google Sheet also. You can add another column and mention the voice ID of the voice using which you want to create a speech for this text which we are entering. But right now, I'm just going to map the voice ID of Rachel over here from this response. So we are going to map this response of voice ID of Rachel from this step of get voice ID, fetch voice IDs of 11 labs to this step of make TTS request. And guys, the process of mapping is very simple. Simply click on this field and here in this drop down, you can't see any data for mapping as of now because we have added a new step, a new data before this particular action step. So we just have to reconnect our account in this step. Just click on this connected button, select the existing connection and click on save. After reconnecting it, once again we'll try to map the data. Just click here and now here in this drop down, you can see all the responses which we have received from previous step. And from these responses, from the responses of Growthens API, we are going to map the voice ID of the particular character of the particular voice using which we want to generate the speech. So we were supposed to map the voice ID of Rachel. So here it is. Just select this response and it will be mapped over here. After entering or mapping the voice ID, the last thing it asks us is the text. that what is the text to whom we want to turn into voice or speech over here. So we have entered the text over here in our Google Sheet, and we have received the data from this Google Sheet in Pabbly Connect in our trigger window, as you can see over here. So from these trigger window responses of text, we are going to map this response of text over here in this field of text. And as you all saw, the process of mapping is extremely simple. Just click here, and from the drop down from the response of Google Sheet, select the response of text and map it over here. So whatever text we are going to enter in this column of text while adding a new row of data, with the same text, a speech will be generated over here using this automation. After mapping the text, here it is an important note. Let's read this. It says, this action will output a request ID, which you can use to retrieve your request at a later time. Please allow for an hour delay before fetching your result. It is important to note that our system will automatically delete your TTS MP3 file that was requested within 48 hours. So guys, the action step which we have selected is make text to speech request. Means using this action step, we are going to send the details and we are going to request 11 Labs to convert this text to speech. But after this, it is asking us, this important note is asking us to add a delay of 1 hour, so that 11 Labs get enough time to convert the text which we are entering into speech. And after 1 hour, we can actually retrieve the details. So when we click on this save and send test request button over here, after mapping all the details, here in response, we will get a request ID. And after receiving this request ID, here it is telling us to add a delay of 1 hour. After 1 hour, using this request ID, we can retrieve the details or we can retrieve the MP3 files of the text to speech which we have requested to 11 Labs. So here what we have to do, we have to add a delay of 1 hour after this step. So just click on this add action step button and then here in choose app, select delay by Pabbly over here. Just select it. After selecting delay by Pabbly, it is asking us how much delay you want to put in your workflow. And in this drop down, we have two different options, delay for and delay until. Now, because we want to delay this automation workflow for 1 hour, that's why we are going to select delay for over here. And then in delay unit from this drop down, select hours. At last, it is asking us for delay value. Now, because we want to add a delay of 1 hour, so we are going to enter value as 1 and click on save and send test request. Now, when we click on save and send test request, here it is showing us it has delayed for 1 hour. So whenever we are going to add a new row with text in our Google Sheet, this automation workflow will trigger. It will start and it will send a request, a text to speech request with the text to 11 Labs. After this, after sending this request, this automation workflow will pause. It will be delayed for 1 hour. And after 1 hour, this automation workflow will start executing further. So we have successfully added a delay of 1 hour over here. But here guys, you can see that the text prompt which I have given to 11 Labs to this action step to convert into speech, this is a pretty short text. So 11 Labs won't take much of a time to convert this text into speech. But for a safer side, just in case if you add some long text over here in Google Sheet and using it, we are converting that text into speech. For that, for a safer side, we have given a 1 hour of buffer time to 11 Labs over here by adding a 1 hour delay. After delaying it, what we have to do, we have to use this request ID and we have to retrieve the details of this request which we have made to 11 Labs to convert this text into speech. So we will just scroll down, click on this add action step button over here. And then once again here in choose app, we are going to search for Growthens API. Just select it. And this time guys, after selecting Growthens API in action event from this drop down, we are going to select the action event as 11 Labs API get TTS request. So in the previous step, we made a text to speech request, but now we are going to get the response or the retrieve the details of that text to speech request which we have made. So select get TTS request as the action event. Click on connect. We have already made the connection, so select the existing connections of Growthens API and click on save. After clicking on save, the only thing it asks us is the request ID. That what is the request ID whose details we want to retrieve. So we want to retrieve the details of this request ID which we have made in the previous step. So we are going to map this request ID from the previous step over here. Just click on this field And from the drop-down from Growthens API responses, select this response of request ID and map it over here. After mapping the request ID, just click on Save and Send Test Request. Now when we click on Save and Send Test Request, here you can see that we have received some response. And in this response, you can see this ID. Here you can see the request ID which we have mapped, and here you can see the file URL. This is the file URL. This is the audio URL of the speech of for the text which we have given. We will just copy this URL, paste it in a new tab, and here you can see this is the audio for the same text which we have entered in our Google Sheet. This means using 11 Labs and Growthens API, we have successfully converted this text which we have entered in our Google Sheet into speech. And we have received the link, the MP3 file URL of that audio over here in this response. So the step 2 of setting up this automation is also completed. Using Growthens API, we have made a text-to-speech request to 11 Labs, and here we have retrieved the details of that request as well. And we have received the file URL of the audio file as well. Now let's move to final step. And in our final step, we want to update this same file URL of the audio file, speech audio file, into our Google Sheet in the same row, in the next column. And for that, we will just scroll down and click on this Add Action Step button over here. And then here in Choose App, search for Google Sheets, because we want to update a cell value over here in our Google Sheets. After selecting Google Sheets, in Action Event from this drop-down, select the action event as Update Cell Value. Just select it. Click on Connect and select Add New Connection over here. Now here guys, we have to connect our Google Sheets account with Pabbly Connect in this action step. And this time to make the connection, click on this Sign In with Google button, select your Google Sheets account in which we have created this Google Sheet. Then just scroll down and click on Continue. And as we click on Continue, we will see our Google Sheets account will get connected with Pabbly Connect over here. After making this connection, the first thing it asks us is to select the spreadsheet. And in this drop-down, you will see a list of all the spreadsheets which we have created in our Google Sheets account. And out of all of this, we have to select the spreadsheet in which we want to update the cell value. So we have created this spreadsheet named as Text-to-Speech Automation. And in this spreadsheet, we want to update the cell value. We want to update the link of the speech audio URL. So here guys, we are going to select that spreadsheet over here. After this, it is asking us to select the sheet. So as we all know, right now we have created only one sheet in this spreadsheet. That is why in this dropdown, you can see only one sheet. So select sheet 1 over here. After selecting the sheet, it is asking us for the range. That what is the range of the cell in which we want to update the value, in which we want to update the MP3 URL of the audio. So here guys, we have to update the MP3 URL of the audio in this particular cell, in the same row in front of it where we have entered the text. So the range of this cell is C2. But the next time when we are going to add a new row of data, we want to update the value in C3, and the next time in C4, and the next time in C5. So the name of the column is constant, but the row is changing for every new text which we are going to update, which we are going to add over here. Every new speech audio URL which we generate from this text, the row number is going to change. So here guys, what we can do, we can manually enter the name of the column, that is column C. And here in the trigger response which we have received from Google Sheet of a text, in that response, we have also received the row index over here. So from this trigger responses of row index, we are going to map this row index over here in this range section, so that we are going to update the cell value in the same row in front of it where we have added the text. So the range of this cell is C2. So if we have entered the text in row number 2, then the speech URL, the audio speech URL will be updated in C2. If we add the text in row number 3, then audio speech URL will update it in front of it in column C over here. So in this way, in the same row where we are adding the text, in the same row we will be adding the speech audio URL as well, which we have created. After entering the range, the last thing it asks us is the value. That what is the value which we want to update in this cell. And we want to update this, the MP3 file URL of the speech, of the audio. So we have to basically map this response of file URL over here in this field of value. Just click here, and from the drop down, from Growthens API responses, after retrieving the details of the request, just map this response of file URL over here. And after mapping this, just click on Save and Send Test Request. Now when we click on Save and Send Test Request, here you can see that we have received a response. And this response seems to be a positive response to us. This response shows that the value which we have mapped over here, this particular file URL, is updated in this particular cell. So let's check it. We will go to our Google Sheet, and yes, here you can see that in the same row, the file URL, the audio file speech audio URL is added for the same text which we have entered in our Google Sheet. So here you can see that we have successfully created this automation, and using this automation, we are going to convert this text into speech, and the speech audio URL of the same text will be added into the same Google Sheet in that same row as well. So here guys, you can see that the automation workflow which we have created using Pabbly Connect, this automation is working perfectly fine. And using this automation, you can completely automate the process of text to speech conversion. Now here guys, after setting up this automation, let's test this automation workflow once. We'll go back to our Google Sheet, and here guys, we are going to add a new text over here. So let's add a date in the column of date, and let me paste a new text over here. So this is the text which we have added. So just now in a Google Sheet, we have added a new row with text, and we will see within 1 hour, this text will be converted into speech, and the speech audio URL, the audio URL, MP3 URL of that speech, that audio will be added in the same row in front of it in our Google Sheet. So let's wait for an hour over here. And yes guys, here you can see that exactly after 1 hour, a URL is added in this column of speech audio URL. We'll just click on this URL, and here you can see that this is the audio, this is the speech of the same text which we have just now added in our Google Sheet over here. This means the automation workflow which we have created with the help of Pabbly Connect, this automation is working perfectly fine. So not just these applications, you can connect plenty of other applications with Pabbly Connect. And one more important thing, you will find the clone link of this exact same workflow in the description box below. By clicking on that link, you can actually clone this same workflow into your own Pabbly Connect account and use this automation workflow for free. Also, let me tell you, Pabbly Connect offers you a free plan. And in this plan, you will get some free tasks every month into your own Pabbly Connect account. So if you want to try and test this automation, you can do it for absolutely free.
If you have any kind of doubts or queries, you can post them on forum.pabbly.com. So if this video was helpful to you, you can obviously like this video, comment down to your suggestion, and don't forget to share it with others. So guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you. Have a great day.